Okay, so we look at Dishonored 2 at 21:9, and specifically its 21:9 support. Now, the original game was absolutely bloody superb, and this, whilst with its issues, is shaping up to be no different. Now, before I continue, this is going to be a 21:9 support breakdown of the game. And if you want to see my thoughts on the game, then check out my video on that linked in the description, or just head over to my channel page. And by the way, I want to apologize for the 2 FPS counters in this video. The Shadowplay one shouldn't have been there, but for some reason it decided to record it this one time. So starting with the good point, that this game natively supports 21:9. Just select a resolution and you're off. It even gives you the option for 2560 by 1080 even when you're running at like 1440p, which is nice as usually games only show you the 21:9 resolution that you're running, and it requires a bit of a workaround if you want to use the 1080p alternative. Anyway, once at 21:9, the gameplay correctly shows off more on the sides of the screen, and there is a nice FOV slider to get your optimal view of the world. The slider could be larger, but I don't quite need to use the highest FOV level to be satisfied, so I'm sure the majority of people will be happy. Annoyingly, the HUD is stuck at 16:9, and it is quite prominent, so it is very noticeable in your direct vision. It would be nice to see it shifted to the sides. However, that said, I wish the option to choose your position was there in all games, as I know some people like it in the center, like it is now, and a lot of people like myself like it on the side, so having the option would just be the best thing. But yeah, it's locked to 16:9 for now. Also, the skip button prompts never disappear in cutscenes, which is again frustrating, as it sticks out like a sore thumb when you're trying to just be in the moment and watch that scene. A good point though for cutscenes are at least they are mostly in-game renderings, and so they use the entire screen space. However, they do add small black bars on the top and bottom, which as always look ridiculous. There are some pre-rendered scenes too, mainly sort of a cartoonish style, and they have 4 black bars around the sides. In-game menus are 21:9 with the elements stuck at 16:9, but the background image and fade effect use the entire screen space beautifully, and screen effects use the entire screen space as well. They don't cut off at 16:9 or anything, for example like when you're damaged. Loading screens are 16:9 with black bars, unfortunately, but they're short. And finally, the main menu is 21:9 with the background scene zooming to fill the screen, and it works very nicely. Now, before I slag off performance, I want to say I love the fact that you can change all graphics settings in-game without the need to restart. Too many games require a restart for some, if not all, settings when changing any of them, and it's so frustrating. So yeah, at least Arcane Studios gets a tick for that, but that's the only tick they're getting for now. The performance is absolutely atrocious. I'm running a GTX 980 Ti with 16 gigs of RAM and an i7 3770K and cannot maintain any steady FPS. I can't even maintain a steady 30 FPS because the game is not only full of massive fluctuations, but even on the lowest settings in a small room where you might be able to get the rare 90 FPS moment, there is huge micro stutter. That means all movement rarely ever feels genuinely smooth, even on a G-Sync monitor. However, that is the least of your worries, as even on this setup, I can't maintain a good FPS on the lowest possible settings as I'm moving around. So yeah, I don't know quite how people with not even this tier of hardware are going to play this game. I don't know. At this point, I don't think you should. I think you need to wait until a performance patch comes through. And it's not like the game has an excuse to fall back on, like, oh, the graphics are just amazing. They aren't. The world is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not Witcher 3 level of detail. And the fact is, it just simply shows that there has been a huge lack of any PC optimization. And right now means, whilst I love the gameplay, and I really love the art style and the graphics, even if they aren't the best thing ever, I can't for the life of me allow myself to recommend this game to anyone until the performance issues are fixed. And as I say, this has got to be soon. How it could be released in this state is beyond me. It's really not acceptable. Another bug to note, somehow my FPS was stuck at 24 when I first started the game and it wouldn't move at all. It didn't matter if I restarted the game or changed every graphic setting, until I found if you change your resolution and then change it back, it recovers your FPS. So I, for example, changed it to the 1080p version of 21:9 and then back to the 1440p version, and then it just went back to working correctly. I don't know. And it only happened the first time I loaded the game, so it's never happened again. So if it does happen to you, just try these steps and you shouldn't run into it again. The game does switch immediately between keyboard and mouse and controller, depending on which you clicked last, which is always great. However, I did find that the mouse needed moving sometimes when I tabbed in and out of the game before the game then switched correctly to the controller. To try and explain that a little better, basically the controller would work, but the prompts, etc., they remained with the keyboard icons. But yeah, moving the mouse and then moving the controller again seems to fix it. It's a weird bug, but yeah. I also found NVIDIA control panel automatically locked on VSync, so even though I turned it off in game, it was still on. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. On top of this, I did get some lighting and pop-in issues, just generally, but they're not 21:9 specific, and this seems to be thanks to the lowest graphics settings I'm running on, but seeing as everyone will have no choice but to use these lowest possible settings at this point, yeah, you'll be having the same experience of pop-in and lighting problems. I hope and fully expect a performance patch to arrive shortly. It probably won't ever get the game to a performance level it should be at, but yeah, hopefully it fixes the majority of issues. Once again, if you want to see my full thoughts on the game, then check out my video on that linked in the description, or just head over to my channel and the video will be there. I'm gonna give this a WideAsFcuk score of 4. It only falls down in a few places, and it's really only in PC performance generally that lets it down as a game, which is really frustrating as it's such a brilliant 21:9 game, and just a generally brilliant game. The gameplay is so solid. So yeah, once its performance problems are fixed, I absolutely recommend picking this up if you have any love of stealth, but don't do it until the performance problems are fixed, because you're just throwing money at a company which really doesn't deserve it at this point. I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21:9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any of the games at 21:9, head over to my channel. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, the links to my Patreon page are in the description. See you later.